Look, I think the ECP in disqualifying Imran Khan or attempting to disqualify him as chairman would be doing so on the premise that there is an understanding that is less than sagacious, less than honest, less than Amin, Sadaqat or Amanat, the Article 62 and 63 standards, that he fails to meet them. It's been pretty well thrashed out that whether you meet these standards or not can only be declared by a court of law, and that the ECP is not a court of law. And these declarations are evident in how Faisal Wavda skirted the system, where he went and got a stay against the ECP for a number of years because of his benevolent benefactors, was able to ride it out to a point where the Islamabad High Court was very angry with him at having fooled the court, but still did nothing about it for 2 years. So this was all on the premise that you need a court's declaration that I am a thief, that I am a less than honest, which incidentally in the end he admitted before the Supreme Court with an apology, and the Supreme Court forgave him. But after having run the entire country's legal mechanism to the ground through a circus loop of his own, and having attempted to represent the people on what was a barefaced lie, which he much later admitted, in the middle of which he went from being an MNA to a senator, because when it was nearly time's up as an MNA and things were coming to a head, that's when his benefactors got him a Senate seat. And the Supreme Court saw none of this and found his apology enough. Similarly, the thing with Imran Khan now is that benefactors gone, these technicalities are coming to haunt him, and they're haunting him rather unfairly if you were to look at it comparatively. If you were to look at what's going on in this country and the standards by which we are run, Imran Khan selling watches, pocketing the difference, selling them before he paid for them, these are all improprieties, and they should be investigated. But to turn the country's most popular politician into a non-entity on that premise shows not that it would be illegal or that it would be unjust. It wouldn't, but it just shows that something's up, and you have to look at it from beyond the four corners of the law, through which you really shouldn't look at anything happening in Pakistani courts these days. So Imran Khan, they want to de-seat him from the chairmanship of the party because ostensibly there are a few stooges around Imran Khan, one of whom, becoming chairman, could then take away Imran Khan's direct power of causing these inception dates, where he gives a date in which he'll announce a date, at which he'll do a date in which neutrals are good, neutrals are bad, neutrals are constitutional, neutrals are animals. So Imran Khan's also turning around in circles. And perhaps he needs to be controlled, which is why this process, the ECP, has suddenly woken up. And having never had any issue with the irregularities of funding in every other political party, having taken issue with Imran Khan, then deciding on opportune terms at a time when Imran Khan had finally fallen out with his establishment forebears that he was indeed in the wrong. The ECP is now thinking of dethroning him as PTI chairman, but on the premise that it is trying does not stand in law. It cannot base its decision on a court of law, which is the Islamabad Subordinate Court, being about to decide something. You need a declaration from a court of law, which simply isn't there right now. And the ECP cannot go ahead and take this seat away from Imran Khan in the way that it is trying to. It would be illegal. And the fact that there aren't more interventions in this regard shows that it's beyond the four corners of the law. And the thing with Imran Khan also is that he has maneuvered the Supreme Court so many times into so many situations, and the Supreme Court itself in recent history has taken stances that are now coming back to haunt it, such as this dethroning from chairmanship is a question that only arises because on the eve of a Senate election, Nawaz Sharif's awarded Senate tickets were taken away from the relevant PMLN nominee senators on the premise that Nawaz Sharif himself should not have the authority to be the chairman of a party or the president of a party or awarding tickets, because he lacked the moral authority now that he'd been declared insagacious or non-Amin. And it's this decision that they're now basing on to try and get Imran Khan. And these decisions, when taken, and you can only read them and think that they were short-term, emergent situations where certain 10-year plans were up at risk. So certain knee-jerk decisions were given by the judiciary, where the judiciary is looking more and more like a pliant tool rather than an independent organ deciding independently. And it's all coming back to haunt them, and as it should. Look, I don't know what the legal ramifications will be. I can tell you that politically, the people do not buy that Imran Khan is corrupt, or at least any more corrupt than the other people around him. or they feel he's a victim of his circumstances, or they feel he deserves that watch, or they feel that he took that money and did something well with. I don't know. But Imran Khan's support is not dampened by the fact that he is not sagacious or Amin, quite clearly. But it wasn't dampened when, in response to the Qazi Faiz Issa reference, Qazi Saab's lawyers put forward conclusive proof that Imran Khan hadn't really declared his taxes properly at any time before 2018, and his wealth had increased during that time, and it was a clear example of tax fraud and wealth accumulation in the same way that he claimed Shehbaz Sharif did. Fine, the quantum of wealth was very different, but Imran Khan's wealth is also inexplainable, the way that it has been created and increased. Babar Sattar Saab at the time was the counsel who put this all together, and Geo Television reported it, and there's still an article out there which shows that Imran Khan's assets have substantially increased whilst his declared income has not, over a number of years, in which has left him being a rather rich man without any real cause for that wealth, or at least tax cause for that wealth. And he had also availed an amnesty, which was the critical gap through which they bridged, his counsels attempted to bridge the money trail, which he really didn't have, of how he comes to own this palace on top of a mountain. And the storyline that he presented to court wouldn't have held up in court had he not been Imran Khan. Jahangir Tareen arguably gave a better story, but he was the scapegoat and Imran Khan wasn't, because he was the chosen one at the time and everyone really wanted to see him prosper. But this whole process was very public and no one really doubted Imran Khan's honesty back then, and so they're not going to start doing it for a watch. And no matter what else you show, and it's been much more than a watch, his wife has been caught. There's an alleged audio of his wife negotiating 5 carat or 50 carat or whatever it is of diamonds from people, and now this Murshid sell a watch and whatever, but it's not going to stain him. They're going to, his support is a product of its lived experiences, and as long as your lived experiences are the Bhuttos and the Sharifs and Altaf Hussain, if you're in Karachi, it really doesn't look that bad to them.